human communities should be grounded in natural systems, and that in order to do this, you have to live more locally. So it basically envisions a cultural shift in which people have a sense of being grounded in the place they're in. So this sort of cuts against the grain of the way modern society is organized, which is basically placeless. In other words, you live in a kind of neutral space, like you could graph it, and you could go in any direction. And in fact, when you become a professional of some kind, you usually do go in every direction because the company says, we want you here, or we want you here. And the place is sort of a backdrop that, some places are more desirable. Hawaii, has waves, that could be good. But the idea of people being grounded in a place is necessary in order to have an actual living community in which people can govern themselves. If you don't know your neighbors, it will be very difficult to address problems or needs that you have in common. So the ultimate goal of bioregionalism is to live in an area that you understand to be your place based on natural features, and that you have something to say about what happens to the land in that place. People who live in a place for a long time are more likely to know something about that place than people who blow in and blow out. And when you know something about a place, you're more likely to care about that place. So this philosophy would say those who care about the place and know about the place should have a major input to decisions that are made about how that place is to be used, which is not really the norm. The other thing we could say is that there is a sense that everything comes from the earth and that we don't really respect the earth very much. That you really don't respect the earth unless you respect it in terms of specifics. It's nice to send a contribution to help with the rainforest, but if you're not actually forming a bond with the place you are in yourself, then who's going to take care of that place? If the people that live in the place are not caring for the place, then who's going to do it? Now there's many oppositional forces in our society that might try to prevent people from doing that. And they might try to make you feel that if you're totally cosmopolitan and you can be equally at home anywhere and you don't really have an attachment to a place, you're a more advanced person. So in some ways this is going back to an earlier America where people actually did live regionally to a large extent. Well, maybe I'll leave it there. And Maria's going to talk about what we do about it.
So about 5 years ago, there was a little, actually it turned out to be about 75 people get together where Peter Berg, who's the person who in California had started this idea of bioregionalism. And so Peter Berg came here to speak to some people, and 75 people came together, and we were over at the Ag Station in their nice big auditorium. And from that, the bioregional group started. And one of the things we decided to do was to try to walk our community and learn more about it through walking. And then we decided to paddle in canoes and learn more about our environment. And then we decided to show movies and learn more about our environment. And so the process of what we have been doing over the last 5 years is a process of getting to know each other as people in this community, but also really walking the community, living in the community, having people come and talk to us about things. So we did a walk here in our neighborhood here in Westville on the West River. We took 2 different walks. One of our very early walks was the April Fool's Walk to the Sea. It happened on April 1st, and that's how we came up with the title. And we had some people talk. We started at the Sundial in Edgewood Park, and we walked along the river, over the landfill, and ended up at the water seeing the swans out in the harbor. And in the process, we had several people talk to us about things that were going on in this environment. The invasion of Phragmites, which is an invasive plant that has come into the area, and other problems. Along the way, we saw dumped cars, all kinds of garbage. So one of the things we do is we don't just take beautiful natural walks and see the beautiful things of our environment, but we also have to face the things about our environment that aren't so beautiful. It's a very important part of living in this community. This is a community that has a lot of shipping. It's a center of a lot of things coming in and a lot of things going out, and there's a lot of pollution here. We have a lot of highways going through. There's certainly groups in our community that work on those kinds of issues. So what we have done is tried to create an awareness of this life place that is ours. If you look at our brochure, which is now called the New Haven Quinnipiac Bioregion, what we decided is the way to think about our life place is to look at the native people that used to live here and what they considered their area. The Quinnipiac Indians were early residents of this area, and they lived within a space that was bound by the ridges and the waterways that we're all very familiar with. And so we see that as the bioregion that we are trying to learn more about. Some of the other things that we do, we have a bioregional garden, and we have been growing food. We try to help other people learn about growing food in addition to what we grow ourselves. We have tried to form links with other organizations in the community. For example, just one small example is because of the garden work we're doing, we have a link with the Land Trust Community Gardens. We have a link with Common Ground School. All of those being really important parts of the Westville community. And in general, a very big focus of what the bioregional group is about is living in place, learning about place, and making this a very important central part of our lives. I have lived on Alden Avenue since 1972. When I came here, I was one of the youngest people in the neighborhood. Now I'm realizing I'm one of the old ladies in the neighborhood. But I will say in the last 5 years, I feel sort of ashamed that it's taken until the last 5 years for me to learn some of the things about my local area that I've learned as a result of some of the work that I've done with the bioregional group. So what we have here are some brochures about us. We have a bioregional quiz. It's interesting to look at something like this and see how much you really know about your community, see how many of these questions you can answer. And if you'd like to, you can sign up to be on our email list. We do, this weekend, there's a number of things going on. There's a walk out in Stony Creek. There is, on Sunday, there's a whole series of skill sharing events going on, one of them being learning how to put up plastic storm windows inside your house to help with the issues of heat and so forth during the winter. So there's all kinds of interesting things that we're doing all the time, and you would hear about those through the email list, which you can see an example of, but you could be getting that from us probably once a week. So, questions, thoughts?